guys, it's Jeanette with Backroom Creations. Come on in. We are going to find our comments. Hope everybody's having a good week. Come on in and let me know where you're watching from. There we go. Excuse me. So tonight we're going to make some, grab some of these. Hi Lori, how are you? I love homespun, but I hate how it frays. Hi Tracy, how are you? So several people have asked for me to do a tutorial, and I was going to tape it, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it live for tonight. So we're going to make another bowl filler. So many of you know that I make rag balls, and those are on my Etsy. But I found these, and I don't know what people call them, so I'm going to call them a pom-pom rag ball. And you can make them in different sizes. And these are all, these are all cut. Nope, this one's not. These are all cut with a just straight, yay, the rag balls. These are all cut just a straight rotary cutter. Okay. But this one, so these fray. Homespun, we all know frays really, really bad. Can't get away from it. In some instances, you want it to fray, like when you're sewing it together. But this keeps I can just keep pulling strings. So another way is, this is a wavy blade, or a pinking blade, I'm sorry. So this is an Olfa, Olfa, O-L-F-A, I always mess that up, cutter. So, you know, Fiskars, Olfa, yeah. And they have a straight blade, a pinking blade, and let's put it away. And I have a wave blade. So it's kind of like a pinking one, but it just kind of goes like this, and it's not so dramatic. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? So I suggest, you know, today's day and age, if we're using fabric, most people have, you know, a self-healing mat, and a rotary cutter. You can get small mats, reasonably priced. They even have a kit. I bought my granddaughter one. It's got like a ruler, an acrylic ruler, a mat, and a rotary cutter for like $20-some. Hi, Mary Schneider. How are you? So, and you can do it with scissors. Don't get me wrong. You can do it with scissors. But it goes a lot faster to do it with a rotary cutter, because you need 60 2x2 squares. Now, we'll get into one of these. I think it's in the other room. You can do 2.5. It just makes a bigger ball. Okay. So this is with the pinking. So you can see there's a few, but there's not very many strings on here. And I'm sitting down tonight, and hopefully I can get you up close so you can see. So it changes the shape of it, or like, not the shape, but like the way the fabric looks. So if you look at this one, we got quite a few strings. But that's just cut with a rotary cutter. And it also does depend on the type of material it is. Hi, Mary Claire. Glad to see you tonight. Now, of course, this is the homespun, and it looks like a hot mess, but usually when we use homespun, we know it's going to fray. Now, a lot of people mainly do two-sided material, fabric. So like homespun, we know what is on one side is on the other side. But, you know, you can have some cottons that are solid that have, you know, it's going to be the same color. Now, I did do I did these, and I don't know if you can see that. You know, that's the back of the fabric. Some things don't look too bad. Some things, let's see if I can find one. This would be a more drastic. So this is my little turquoise one. So you can see the lighter spots in the fabric. That is the back of the material. So some people would not want to see that. And so you would have to choose like a homespun or a solid color. Now I did go out to my Amish Miller's Dry Goods out in Charm today and picked up, I was going to bring it up, some pink material, and it's just pink on the other side. It's got like a little pattern on it, but the other side is still pink. So that would be great. This doesn't bother me that you see it. It just kind of looks like it's two-toned. Most people do it with one color. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4. This one has 4 different colors, which I think is kind of, you know, Easter and all that. Yes, Robin. I did not cut it and I did not burn it. My fingers, it's so dry this year. And just with crafting and cutting material, the end of my finger split. It hurts. So I put a Band-Aid on it for it tonight. It hurts typing too. So you can do more than one color. This one is actually pink gingham. Gingham frays really bad too. And a pink solid. So they really make some pretty bowl fillers. And you can sit here and pluck and pick and pluck and pick all these strings, and they're never going to go there. Oh, I know. Not every winter, but this has been the worst. I had to actually take a nail file to the end of my fingers just to get I was catching on stuff. So this color is what we're going to do tonight. Now this one was cut with a pinking blade, and you can use pinking shears too. It just goes a lot slower. And this one's all one color. All right, so there's fabric. If you didn't know about fabric, you know something now. So put those over here. Now, the styrofoam balls. These are the smooth. You like the strings? Yeah, I do too. Some people don't. This is a smooth styrofoam. This is the rough. So it kind of just depends, and it doesn't really matter. You can use both. They do look like hydrangeas. I think that's what I like about them. I'm addicted. I've got a whole box back here full. Some are in sets. Some are just like the bigger ones. I'm just going to sell them singly because, you know, somebody may just want one to go on their tiered tray set. I have a set of these that I did 3 big and 3 small. So it's kind of just, you know, uses that fabric too. So this is a 3-inch. Hi, Stacy. Thank you. This is a 3-inch ball with 2 by 2 squares. This is what this did. And it ends up being like almost 5 inches. Where the little ones used, this one's like a 1.9, and then I have a 2 point. This is a smooth one. This is what this made. Now you can use 2.5-inch squares, and it makes them a little bigger. So it's really up to you. I like them how they're nice and close fit. And you just want to make sure you don't see none of the plastic. So tonight, I'm going to show you how to make a big one. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't cut enough fabric. No, we're going to do a little one. I'm going to show you on the big one how I start it, though. Oh, and then you need something to push the holes in. I forgot my glue gun tool. My glue tool. So these are dotting tools. Like you do the dot paint, the mandalas and all that. They have some that are bigger. Now, like, excuse me. No, it's not those. So some are kind of small. And then you get some. This is from Dollar Tree. This one doesn't work too bad. The smaller end doesn't. And of course, you know, these are the dotting things. So you need something small and not quite pointed, but kind of pointed. Get my drift? Okay. So I don't mark it, but I'm going to show you how I do, just so you can kind of see how many goes into it. So in a 2-inch one, 60 will go in here, about. But I'm going to mark on here to show you what pattern I put my stuff in. So, you know, there's always a line, and that's kind of how I started. So I'm just going to go about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Excuse me. I couldn't talk earlier. This cough is just hanging on. But then all of a sudden my voice went away. I'm like, yeah, great, wonderful. So we're just going to go around. We're going right on that line. And really, you don't have to do it this way. I have found I don't use as many when I do it this way. You can just start at the top and just keep stuffing. But I found I use a lot more. Okay, so we got a line all the way around. And then I'm going to do one the other way. I'm just going to put a few dots. You normally want to have them about 1/4 of an inch apart. And if you don't go in a very, very straight line, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to be able to tell. Because, you know, look, you can't tell where a line is. Oops. I know, Robin, it's horrible. People have been telling me, they're like, oh, how long ago were you sick? I'm like, 2 weeks ago. They're like, ha, you got a long way with the cough. I'm like, great. So here we go. We have a crisscross. So we have it one way and then we have it another. So it's kind of like make segments in the balls. So this, after I've stuffed in this pattern, then I will start filling in the middles. And that kind of gives you a grid where you don't use as many of your little squares. I mean, if you got 1,000,000 squares and you need to get rid of them, by all means, you can start at one end and go to the other. But if you kind of want to gauge it, I made like, well, you know, I made quite a few, but I counted like 3 or 4 to see how many I was using. And I found when I just started on one side and started stuffing, I used like 75. Where if I do it like a grid pattern, I used about 60. But we're going to use the 2-inch ball. And I kind of like, these are just 2 inches, just regular cotton fabric. It's just light blue, so that both sides are the same. And I kind of take some apart, because when you're trying to make sure where your hole is and try to take some apart, it's kind of like cumbersome. So I just take some apart. I don't know if this is hot enough yet. There we go. Oh, let's move that one. So I'm just going to start on, these really don't have a line. I'm just going to start somewhere. So I tend to make a hole with the tip of my glue gun. Now, if you don't want to, you don't have to. How people teach you is take your pointer. So here's my little pointer. I'm going to take my square and I'm going to wrap it around like this. Okay. Then I'm going to put glue on the end. Let's see if this, oh, yep, it'll come out. And then I'm going to stuff it in my ball. So that's how I watch somebody do it. Of course, you always end up putting your own spin on it to find out what works well for you. Once I cut everything, I can usually make one in about 10 minutes if I'm not talking or showing anybody anything. how I do it. And if you want to make some, you'll have to find what works for you. So I pull the fabric over so I can see how close I'm going to the next one. So it's about 1/4 inch. So I'll stick my little, and I use a detailed mini gun, and you squeeze just a tad bit of glue. And then I will take my little square, and I'll put my thumb about where the middle is, and I'll stick it down there. And then I just push it in. Now, when I'm not trying to talk, sometimes I'll do my hole, because you know that's going to melt it. Put a dab of glue, and then I'll pick my square up so the tip of this is in the middle, and I'll just push it in. And you don't push it in real far. I'd say it's maybe about 1/4 inch. And you literally just do that. So when I get going, I usually put like 3 or 4 holes. Because you can actually poke it, squeeze it, poke it, squeeze it. You can put your glue in there at the same time. So you just got to remember which hole you're poking into. If you push your thumb, you can kind of see where it was. And then I just lay them over. So doing it this way, if you're going to make a bunch, kind of gives you a little bit faster than doing them all at once. I couldn't imagine. I just did it for a couple minutes, how I showed you how to, like, you know, wrap it around like this and then put the glue on it. I couldn't imagine doing a whole one like that. If you guys wouldn't mind sprinkling me out, I'd appreciate it. But then there, looks like it's got a mohawk. And that's literally how you make them. So you can use, you know, however many colors you want. If you want a lot of color, hi Sandy, I suggest using a material that's the same on you know, front and back. These were folded, you can tell, but they'll be all right. I'm starting to lose my voice again. So sometimes if you push them in and they're kind of all cattywampus, they'll go. Because everything around will just push together. It's going to be hard to take these apart with that Band-Aid on my finger. See? And usually once you get to pushing in, you'll know how hard to push. Now in the beginning, I only liked the rough ones. You know, these are the rough ones. Hi, Mom's Country Living. Welcome. My name is Jeanette. We're making, I call them pom-pom rag balls. That's the best name I can come up with. So I tend to do 4 at a time. And if I push it, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the little remnant of the hole. So I'll sit up here and I'll cut a bunch of fabric. Yes, with tissue paper. And like I said, if you don't like the strings, use pinking shears or a pinking blade, and that will not be as near as many threads. You have a few. Oh, hey, Maureen. You have never seen this? When I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, I think we did that in school with tissue paper. And I couldn't find very many people that had done it. And I saw less on Etsy actually selling them. So I thought, hey, why not? My line's not too bad. Now, if you get them far apart, don't fret. Because when you go next, you'll just put one in between the two to fill it in. See, so that one didn't really push in real well, but I'm not worried about it because my other ones will help fill that in. I've even put 2 pieces of fabric in one hole. It just filled it up pretty fast. I like the smaller end better, but sometimes depending on the fabric, it'll poke a hole in the fabric. So you just got to find something, you know, whether it be a small screwdriver would probably work. Maybe like an eyeglass one. It's just a detail gun or tool. This is the Surebonder. It's a mini glue stick, which I hate, but they're just bowl fillers, Mary Claire. You just put them in a bowl or on a tier tray, or they're not intended to be a toy. But I can imagine my cat taking off with one. I could actually see these bigger ones, you know, like big ones, hanging from a ceiling for a baby shower. Okay, so we got all the way around. So now I'm just going to fill in the cross. Like I said, I usually go 4 at a time. Make a hole, poke a hole, squirt some glue, poke a hole, squirt some glue. Because you don't want it to dry up, but usually I can do 4 at one time. Or not at one time, but before the glue hole dries up. And then I just hold the previous one over so you can get to your, doggone it. So push it down, thank you. So push it down in there and then hold it with your finger. So once I started making them, I kind of tried out different ways of, you know, pushing them in, holding them, where to put the glue. I don't like the way that I saw a couple people make them, just because it would take forever. And I'm not a patient person. I know I can't wait for Christmas. I was thinking the same thing. Or like in a tall glass vase. I even made a small one with like a styrofoam ball this big, just to see what it would look like. It wasn't very full. So I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that one again. But yes, a Christmas tree. Because I made ornaments out of my regular rag balls that I made, you know, with the string, or the, yeah, not strings, but the fabric strips just wrapped around. I made some out of the red and green homespun. They were really cute. I just put a bead with jute on it at the top, and that's how you hung them. I'm sure other people can find many ways to use them or display them. Not very useful. I suppose you could have a indoor fight with them if you really wanted. Excuse me. Like I said, depending on the material, this is a thicker cotton, not thick, but like a regular cotton. If the ones that are really thin, depending on what you have to poke through, sometimes you'll just poke a hole in it instead of like getting it to push in. So you kind of got to just feel it out to see what works well for your fabric. I know when I bought some gingham material, I had to be careful how I poked that stuff in. It didn't really want to play nice. And then when I get enough glue on my little tool, I just take the heat tool and heat it up and wipe it off, and it's brand new. Right, Robin? Snowball fight for indoors. Of course, it might hurt if you really bash somebody with one of those, because that's got a 3-inch ball in it. I forget how many the big ones, the 3-inch balls, take. I'll have to look at my notes. But if they fold over, just kind of spruce them back up. Get it off there. So I had quite a bit of material just over the years. I always have fabric for one reason or another. But I really, I started my journey of going live making wreaths. And I don't make near as many as I used to. They won't let me in the store that I'm in here in town. They won't let me stop making them. They're like, no, we want wreaths. You can make whatever else you want, but don't stop making the wreaths. Because they do sell. Not a lot, but I'll sell maybe 3 a month. Towards Christmas, I sell a few more. Because my wreaths aren't cheap. They're not like the $200 wreaths, but they're not $25 either. And there's always somebody in town making them out of Dollar Tree stuff. So everybody gauges what they should cost based on that. And that's not me. When I started, I used a lot of Dollar Tree stuff, and now I don't use any. Okay, so here, excuse me, we got like a crisscross. So here's a cross. So now we just got to fill in these. I'm in Ohio, so we just got to fill in these. So I tend to just, you could go back down the middle again, and then, you'll have little spots to fill, or I just start filling them in. And it'll, in the end, you'll look around and see where you need to put some. Yep, I'm in Ohio. When people ask me where we live, we just say, take Cleveland, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we're right in the middle. I can be to Columbus in about an hour and 45 minutes, at least the east side. And I can be to Pittsburgh with 90 minutes to 2 hours, depending on what part. And to Cleveland, I can be there in 2 hours. I don't like going to Cleveland, though. I flew out of Cleveland one time, and I'm like, I'm not used to this. I'm used to going out of Columbus. We have a smaller airport, Akron-Canton, that's just like 45 minutes from here, but I always fly Southwest, and those are bigger planes, and they don't go there. And I'm good with that. I'll just stay on my bigger planes. Plus, Southwest, you get 2 bags for free. And a purse and a carry-on. So, it's a good deal. So, I'm just filling them in. Not even a pattern or anything. I'm just kind of going in random. And then after you do a section, you'll figure out where you need to go in if you need to fill in anything. Like I said, I try to keep them about 1/4 inch apart. Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe 3/8. But you can see that's filling in pretty nice. No, I'm not a football fan. I'm not really a sports fan of any kind. Now, my husband does watch, like, the playoffs, the Super Bowl, you know, all that. But he just watches them on his computer. We watch everything on our computers. Our poor TV doesn't get a lot of use unless the grandkids are here. The only sports I really got into is what the kids were playing. And I didn't have, neither of my boys played football. But we had girls that did tennis, and the boys did baseball. So we had baseball, softball, tennis, track. My grandsons, one of my grandsons is in football. He's in 7th grade. Yeah, 7th grade, 8th. Oh, I can't keep track of all these kids. My oldest granddaughter, she's a junior. And my oldest grandson's a junior as well. I can't believe they're juniors in high school. They're going to be adults next year. Makes me want to cry. Just seems like yesterday I was taking baby pictures. I never scrapbooked until my grandkids were born. And for like the first 5 years, I scrapbooked like a mad woman. Not so much anymore. So right there's a little thin. I don't know if you can see, probably can't see it. But I'm not going to put one in there yet. I'm just going to wait and fill in. I'll just spread them out. You can see like it goes up into here. So I'll probably, I'll put one right there. Just to help fill in that area. What grade does high school start? 9th grade. Hi, Roz. How are you? Our middle school and our high school are actually connected. One's on one street and one's on the other. And they're connected buildings. You can actually, well, the teachers can, the kids can't, but walk from one building to the other. So I got some in high school, middle school, grade school, and one that's in preschool. I know, I think it's when you get over into the UK and stuff. I can't keep track of how many years they go to school and what's considered high school. When my stepdaughters were still here in high school, they had a foreign exchange students that one of my stepdaughters was friends with. And she came over and she was from Sweden, maybe? I think she was from Sweden. Okay, so if you look at it, it doesn't look too bad. But if I nose around, see that big hole? So depending on how they laid, it might be noticeable at some point. So we're going to go ahead and put one at least right in the middle. Make sure it's good. And there you go. So now we'll just come over here. So you can see there's a little bit of fraying threads from all this, but not too bad. And I think she said they went to like age 20 or something. And she didn't know what a s'more was. It was in the fall when she was over. And we had a fire. And they roasted marshmallows and stuff. And they did s'mores. And she's like, we have chocolate. We have graham crackers. And we have marshmallows. But we've never put them together. Her grandkids will go to the same school until... Oh, wow. Ah, yeah. I know some junior highs, yeah, will do a little bit different. Yep, great for a wedding or shower. I think it'd be cute, like blue and pink for a baby shower. Or you could put yellow and, what is it, yellow and light green. Of course, now I've seen a lot of people that want a very neutral baby's room. Some people just like neutral. Clearly not a Girl Scout. I was too a Girl Scout. Oh, she wasn't. Yeah. No. She's like, can I have another one? I'm like, yes. She's like, it's so good. I remember in high school, we had a foreign exchange student from Bolivia, and she hardly spoke English at all. Yeah, neutral is really big now. Heck, when I had, see, one was my first daughter, no, my son. My daughter really didn't have a theme until she was a toddler. My second son was the little baby Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse. Yeah, me too. I did the whole Girl Scout leader. I was a neighborhood, a district cookie chair. And then I was also a Cub Scout master, because my son's Cub master was retiring. And so I took that over because no men would. I had men that said they would help, but they didn't want to like be in charge of everything. And I also did Pee Wee cheerleading that year. So like I didn't work. Oh, really? That's neat. Yeah, I would expect French up there. Mais oui. I know bonjour, and I know je n'ai pas. Means I don't know. So you just want to hold the previous ones out of the way so you can make sure you're putting it in a good spot. These things drive me nuts. Usually when I do them, I take the whole stack and just like fly them all over like this, because then it's easier to pick them up. So when I put that down, I'm kind of putting it down a little so it'll stick. You don't know French? That's about all I know. I did not take a foreign language in high school. It was not mandatory. I mean, most people took Spanish, but I was a brat in school. I didn't take biology. I was the only sophomore that did not take biology. So I took some other class. And I was one of the only kids that didn't take a foreign language. We had French and Spanish. I'm like, I don't need to know. Now I wish I would have. We have a rather large Guatemalan base that's here. You know some German? Hey, Cindy. Niet. Actually, I like the German language. It almost sounds like you're yelling at somebody, but you're just talking. I'm sure you did, now being up in Canada. I think French is kind of like a beautiful language. And I think German is like, Took Russian. Wow. I don't want to go to Russia. Sorry. Growing up, I used to want to go to Egypt. Now I found out they're not so nice to Americans. Maybe some areas, but I just want to go see like the ancient Sphinx and all that. I used to want to go to Australia, but then I found out how hot it is and all the creepy animals down there. And I'm like, no, I'm good. So now, yeah, I would love to go to like Paris, France, Italy. I probably won't. The Holy Land. I don't know. And you do go through, well, when you're making a lot, you do go through quite a bit because it's just mini glue sticks. Not too bad, though. It's hard to make a hole. Oh. So it has taken me longer. Like I said, if I'm just making them and not teaching anything, I can usually make one in about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, once the fabric's all cut. You want to go to Australia, but I know, how long would of a flight that would be? The longest I've been on a plane without, like, getting off for a transfer or something is, I think, 4 hours. I know, I flew to Dallas a few times. That's where I was headed. We were going to Louisiana, just right over the border, but we still flew to Dallas and we rented a car. Greece, oh yeah. I would love to go to Greece just to try the food. In Italy. When I lived in Michigan, when my first husband was in the Air Force, we had our landlord they were Italian, and their summer home was right next to our house. So she just treated us, I mean, we were young, and she treated us like one of her kids, and you called her Nani for grandma in Italian, and she could cook. Whoop. Boy, could she cook. Hi, Lisa. Oh, see, now you can go with Ireland and Switzerland. Did you know that Greenland has, 75% ice? And there's only like 50,000 people on that whole continent. Greenland. I don't think I want to go there. I do have heritage in Ireland, in Wales, England, and Germany. And I'm sure there's some other stuff in there. I've never done the 23andMe or whatever. So we're almost finished. So don't forget, I don't know where you're watching me from, whether it's Craft Around the Clock or on my page, but don't forget to join Craft Around the Clock if you're not. You can see all kinds of viewing and inspiration all week long, and a lot of times on the weekends there's events going on. This Friday is brown baskets, brown bags, and buttons. So we got to make our craft will be focused around that. I'll be on at, I forget if it's 6:15 or 8:30. And if you haven't followed me, I would love for you to. You can find out when I go live. I don't go live as much as I should. So I'm going to show you here real quick. So if you go back here, up close, where'd it go? I can see the styrofoam in here. So I'll go back and push one in those. And then I've got this section. So because I took a lot of time to tell you everything, yes, there is a lot of inspiration on Craft Around the Clock. So, but yeah, that is how you make a pom-pom rag ball. And thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you jump over and join, answer the questions, because we do try to keep out the weirdos. And I hope you learned something tonight. So I will see you guys on Friday. Can't wait. Talk to you later. Bye. 2 by 2, Roz. They're 2 by 2. 2 inches by 2 inches.